We are a group of students from Design Academy Eindhoven who departed on a research trip to Bangalore in India. My name is Ari and Geven are asthmatics and took on the role of infiltrating the system, while I was there to capture this and help them to reflect.
I've been diagnosed with asthma when I was 5 or 6. While in horse riding class, they discovered that I have chronic asthma linked to many allergies that go from animal air to dust mites. Since then, I've been on heavy medication and regular surveillance by an allergist. Thanks to that, I've never had a severe asthma crisis.
My asthma is caused by hypersensitivity for my surroundings. Things like smoke, heavy perfume, dust, temperature switches, and sometimes during physical activity. For 21 years, I've been on and off medication, depending on how severe my disease got.
As a group, we wondered how having a chronic disease like asthma is influencing someone's life, especially within the context of a city like Bangalore. In the Netherlands, the European norm of 40 pm is exceeded too often and the government is obliged to take action to improve the air quality. In India, according to the World Air Quality Index, the air quality fluctuates between 100 and 200 pm, at times even far over 300 pm in places like New Delhi. Research by the World Health Organization found that there is a link between the quality of the air and the increasing appearance of breathing disorders diagnosis, mostly amongst children. Asthmatics are more sensitive to a worsening of the air quality. Therefore, we could be considered as the canary in the coal mine in both Europe and India. We researched what it is like to be the first to be affected by bad air and how others relate to this.
We look at air pollution as an urgent problem that needs to be fixed and changed. In India, a country with overcrowded traffic in which vehicles are producing black exhaust, we expected to have more trouble breathing and the issue of air pollution to be very pressing.
I was feeling quite bad actually, so just right before I took my Ventolin. Yes. Because I felt quite busy in my lungs, and now I'm trying to cover my face. I don't know how efficient it is. I don't think it really is. I think it's much more mental than anything else, and I have a very efficient mask, but it's at the hostel, which is very stupid. So now I'm just wearing my scarf. Well, my skin is very bad. I get like a lot of black spots. My nose is very stuffed and very, like just very itchy. And I also have like a lot of coffee with it. And yeah, my hairs are disgusting. Not because I don't wash them, but because they get like a lot of dust.
Why you're wearing masks, girls?
Maybe because of this.
Why are you not wearing a mask?
We didn't question whether Bangalore was polluted or not. We just wanted to learn how people cope with it.
This perspective changed soon after arriving in India. We were confronted with our Western way of looking at things when presenting our research at the Unbox Festival at CPDM, where the issue of air pollution and its relation to asthma was questioned in high numbers. We set out on a journey to discover people's perspective on these topics. Air pollution and asthma seem to be a very sensitive topic to talk about, mainly because Bangalore is considered as a green city. The problem is acknowledged, but people will avoid the subject by talking about how the problem is much bigger somewhere else and demonstrate that Bangalore is a good city to live in.
Are you doing a lot of fireworks?
Yes.
Yeah? Do you like doing this? Yeah?
Yesterday, today and tomorrow.
3 days?
3 days.
It's a lot of smoke.
No smoke, no.
Do you feel it in your nose and in your...
We cannot at all say no. Everywhere it has.
We needed to talk about air pollution without talking about it. So we changed our approach while interviewing and investigating. Jad and Yip became a probing element and eased the conversation between us as researchers and the people we met. The script changed after each meeting. We started to design the situation and had to adapt the words we used, the way we acted, how we explained things, as well as our mindsets.
We would explain that we experienced problems since we got here, implying that it was caused by that we think was the air in Bangalore. By doing this, we hope to learn about the medical culture and get a perspective on how they look at health, the body, and its relation to the air quality.
Starting with what we experienced at home, we decided to go to a pharmacy focused on a modern medication. We noticed that the consult that generally happens with a GP in France and the Netherlands happens directly at the pharmacy, and they would provide the medication right away.
First, we got presented a vaporizer called Breathe Free. This would help to open the airways. When talking about our asthma, we got asked about our own medication. They didn't know my medication and no alternative existed. For Jad, however, they did have an Indian equivalent with the same active substance.
After this, we went to an Ayurvedic and homeopathic pharmacy. These are more traditional ways of treating in India that are deeply embedded within people and a big part of their everyday life. We agreed to come back for an appointment with both the Ayurvedic and homeopathic doctors. After that, the woman working in the pharmacy shyly admitted that she actually wasn't educated in the medical field at all. What was notable is that all the packages have illustrations explaining what the medicine should be used for.
Homeopathy, we try to cure from the root.
During our appointment with the homeopathic doctor Sahana, we explained that we were in India to learn about different medical practices than the ones we are interacting with at home.
And how do you make your diagnose to patient? In what way? How do you diagnose them? Do you
We take a complete history of the patient.
Okay.
Starting from when it has started. Say for example, we are talking about your asthma. We try to find out your family history, your parents, your grandparents, were they asthmatic? How about in your childhood? Because again, another most important thing is suppression in the skin.
Yeah.
When eczemas etc. are suppressed, then you find that as you grow, you come up with respiratory allergies, asthmas, etc.
So do you have a lot of asthmatic patients nowadays?
In India, it's very common.
Yeah, it's very common.
Very common. Because of the pollution, the smoke, the dust around, it's very common.
Do people grow these allergies? It's not something you're born with?
No.
Okay.
These allergies you're not born with.
Okay.
You become susceptible to those allergies, or your system becomes weak and you become very prone to those allergies because of various reasons. That's why we take a complete case.
We learned that with homeopathy, they look at the body in a very holistic manner. They look for the ground cause of the problems instead of curing the symptoms and try to improve the immune system. Later, we would find that Ayurvedic has the same holistic approach, but that it looks at the body and healing differently.
It's the question of a long-term treatment, and you get completely cured of it.
Because everything has its own grammar. So as per the grammar you have to talk. I can't talk generally what you talk. It's a specific for specific person. I am an Adi doctor. I see the pulse and give. For example, as per Hindu customs, you are made up of 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, earth, and Atma, that is spirit. So a fire dominates lady or gents. I have to talk fiery things, tips. If it is an earthy person, then I have to talk earthy tips. If it is airy person, then I have to talk air tips.
Okay.
So it depends individually, it can't be generalized.
There's nothing related to different diseases?
See, the disease comes later. So for example, you are fighting with me. You may hammer me one day. I may send another person from that side. That time your energy level will have been down. I have to send another person. I will not come and attack. I will send another person there. So next day another person. So 10 times 10 person will attack you. Can you survive?
Probably not.
So what we do in Ayurveda is, in homeopathy is, in their own grammar, we make your immunity and your body type stronger.
Okay.
So that anybody comes, you can tackle. See, any doctor has to ask three things in personal history. One is bowels, one is sleep, one is digestive system.
Yeah.
So your definition is different than mine. My digestive system definition is once you eat, it has to process into nutritive energy into the blood. I am talking about that.
Yeah.
You are talking as in terms of hunger. If hunger is there, digestion is good. That is not the definition. Second definition, going to sleep is important for you. For me, not. When you get up, you should be energetic. That's my definition. So bowels, if you throw through the motion something, is not important. The filth which is in the body has to go out.
Okay.
So that's the language. So once you do all these three nice and your body type specific nice, then you will be nice.
This centuries-long traditional healing is a very big part of the culture in India, which leads to complete different diagnoses and advices than the ones that Jad and Yip got in France and the Netherlands.
So you believe that it's all about like what's happening in me and not about like the surroundings or the environment that can also influence?
That's the secondary thing. What your body type, if you become stronger, environment will not affect that.
During these consultations, we got to know a lot more about how health is perceived. Ayurveda is about improving the immune system, so it will be able to fight anything from the outside, among which is air pollution. Therefore, the quality of the air will never be seen as a severe problem on a personal level.
According to Dr. Sairam, you have full responsibility for your own body, something that is less present in Western medicine. All this gave us insights in the Indian culture, but it also challenged our own thoughts.
How are you?
I'm tired. I feel weird.
Why?
We just had this consultation with an Ayurvedic doctor. That was really weird because first I didn't really like the way he was approaching or telling about his practice. He seems very like, yes, this is what we do and this is how it works. And that's it. I cannot tell anything else. And I was a bit like, why are you putting in like this? You just want to learn. Like you can, I don't know. I didn't found him very open about what like the science, and so I was a bit like pulled back. Like, okay, this is weird. And then he basically explained how they cure everyone differently according to their personality, and that there's nothing related to a specific disease. So he mentioned the fact like the so-called asthma, which I found also really weird because to me it sounds a bit like he thinks that my disease is basically just an illusion, or just like it's not a disease, it's just me that have a problem, sort of. At least this is the way I interpret it. I'm like not saying that this is probably what it means, but this is the way I perceive it, so this is the way I feel a bit like, okay. And then he took our pulse and made a whole diagnosis out of it. So apparently I am fire and earth, and I need to, what did he say? I need to not wait for people to eat. I need to eat at fixed time, and when people ask me to fix their problem, I should ask when they want help, because I need to put priorities, which is also weird, but I get to get it.
Why it's weird?
I don't know, I feel like if you truly want to help someone, you don't have to think about it in terms of priority. It's just...
But something can be a priority, right? If you really, really want to help someone.
Yeah, I know. It's just like this thing about like asking like when do they need help and stuff like this. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it does make sense, like about this one thing that he said about me, and
Maybe you should take it a bit more with a grain of salt.
It annoys me in a way because I understand now why people don't understand the urgency and the fact that air pollution is a problem and that they have to deal with it because of their health. and being in a somatic selection. Yeah, it's just that for me, it shows how much people, and also like this whole thing about religion and this kind of thing, it shows me like you can see how people just sort of like go with the flow of their spirituality and don't really take seriously maybe, or don't focus on the right thing. I don't know, and maybe I've been so like told about a certain way of looking at diseases and disorders that I cannot think that it could be in another way.
But
so I feel very skeptical,
do
basically.
you feel that the way you have been treated before is efficient and it makes you feel better?
But that's the
Do
thing,
you
because
trust this?
I trust it, but I don't feel like it's the most efficient, because I'm still with it and I'm still gonna have it, and it's also annoying and I want to get rid of it. So I'm a bit like,
I think I really feel the same.
yeah, because I'm like, I really trust my treatment. Like, if I don't take it, I feel bad. If I take it, I feel okay, and it like makes me feel safe.
But do you trust your treatment, or do you trust like the medical procedure? Like the type of healthcare? Because I think for me,
It's both. Depends. Because sometimes also the way I've been treated by doctors, I don't think it's really nice.
I really trust my medicine. It works. Except for like my very specialist lung doctors.
We can use
But wait, maybe because we're gonna have no
I don't really trust like the healthcare system that much.
Yeah, I have a lot of trust in. That's the thing. Okay, this is interesting because I also feel I'm really critical at the pharmaceutical industry in Western society, because I feel that they want to take my money rather than cure me. But on the other hand, I don't see any other option, and this treatment is keeping me alive so far. So I feel very, like I also don't see myself giving up my treatment to go for complete natural, Ayurvedic, spiritual kind of shit as well. Because I'm not that type of person. I trust like proper science, Western science, which is probably also a bad thing. But this is why I'm like super confused right now.
Since we came to Bangalore, we met a lot of people who have been advising yoga practices like pranayama as a cure for asthma. We decided to check how it works and went to the local yoga practitioner.
We both asthmatics, and we heard that apparently there is breathing techniques from yoga practices that are good for asthma.
You want me to teach, and then you have to practice daily. See, this asthma learning is one.
Yeah.
For it has to make an effect, you have to practice. There itself we are doing many postures, many techniques which will definitely help you.
Thoughts?
Actually, I feel like my lungs are very full now.
Very full.
Of air? No, just like big. Because I know sometimes I forget to breathe. Because I sometimes just forget to breathe. My muscles are then very tense. And I'm sure I want to know how long it's gonna like stay like this.
We asked the yoga instructor for any remedies for asthma that were not yoga exercises, and he invited us to see his wife, who is an acupuncturist. Here, Jad and Yip both got diagnosed on their personal situations.
Energy imbalance in the lung and lung system, what happens? They will have asthma, allergy, eczema, constipation, many things. It is related to lung. It is not related to any outside pollution or anything. Fine. This will make a point. If somebody has to get because of pollution, that is really a wrong method of dealing with the science. Fine. So so many people are living in one place. No, so many, even if the pollution is there or not, many people are living. Only one or two get affected. Okay. It is not because of pollution then. Fine. Okay. So it's because of mainly our strength, like our stamina. Depends on our stamina. If a problem has to come, it has to come for the total population, right? No, it is not affecting the total population. Only one or two are getting affected because of our stamina is low in that case, right? So lung and large intestine, energy is little bit imbalance is there. That's what is all these things have come for you. Okay. And even travel sickness, everything because of this is the thing. This imbalance is it.
Okay.
Right? Once it is if you treat the lung and large intestine properly, and if you can take accordingly the food and other things, then automatically this asthma will run out. Main thing what we say is sleep disorder. See, there is a clock, like organ clock going on in the system, circadian clock. You can browse it and see, right? So that is like detoxification action mainly happens in the night between 11 to morning 3. Night 11 p.m. to morning 3 a.m. In that time, our body should be in the sleeping condition. Right? We should not wake up, we should not eat anything in that timing, or we should not keep watching movies or anything. No? Like if we delay the sleep, what happens? That stagnation will be there in the body. Like how a house, like if we dump all the garbages inside, and if we cannot clean, what will happen? No? Like all the lice, all the flies, everything will come there automatically. Same way our body also. We are just dumping the body with all the toxins. Body is trying to remove the toxins in the time, but we are not allowing it. We are consciously sitting and doing some work. So what will happen? Body cannot detoxify. So the 2-hour lag, already 12 o'clock you are sleeping at 12 to 12:30 it is happening. No? So that 11 to 12, that 1 hour already it is lagging. Okay. Fine. Because of that, the proper 100% detox is not happening in the body. So that will lead to, if the liver detox cannot happen, then it will lead to lung defect. Okay, fine. That is what you are getting: asthma, allergy, all these things. Okay. Simple thing. Okay. So 10 o'clock when you go for sleep, 11 it will be in the deep sleep state. Our body, fine. All the endocrine system will work well. For you, endocrine system is also little, it is not working properly. So the sleeping time, the room should also be very dark, pitch dark. There should not be any gadget light, even even the mobile lights or the charger lights, nothing should be there. Okay, even the blinds should be dark. So night sleeping timing also 10 o'clock, 10 to morning 4, 5 o'clock any time. Okay. Whatever it may be, you can wake up after that. After 3 you can wake up any time. But sleeping time should not be more than 10. Okay. Within 1 or 2 days you can find a very good difference. Okay. Permanently this thing will go. Okay. You don't need to go to any doctor anywhere.
Is there a lot of people coming with asthma problems?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any problem, all the problems people come here.
The way of looking at health, the body, and air pollution within acupuncture is very similar to Ayurveda. This made us understand that there is a lot of people who do not have a personal relation to the air quality, because they do not believe that it will affect their body. To be taken into these completely different belief systems challenged our own thoughts and beliefs.
Today is 11th of November.
Yeah.
How do you feel yourself? Is there any changes so far?
For me, like the biggest sort of change is more like the thoughts about it. Where after we met like the acupuncturist, I think we all were like quite skeptical about it. Like everyone telling us like, yeah, 45 days of yoga and meditation is gonna 100% cure your asthma.
Well, I was a bit scared because I never tried, I think, the acupuncture, but I wasn't skeptical about this.
I think I wasn't really aware that I was. After Mike was telling us like try not to be skeptical because it's like influencing your research, I was really aware and I really tried not to. But then I also understood that I was about this, like I think it's very interesting that people really believe that you can be cured like 100%. And it's very tempting to believe it's true, especially if there are like so many people are telling you that it can be like this, and also from different fields, because like I've had asthma for like 21 years on and off, and I tried to be like on as little medicine as possible, and I've also tried like alternative like healthcare in the Netherlands, but I do feel that it's very different. They would never tell me like you can be cured 100%, and the idea that it's possible is very tempting, but I'm not sure if I
believe it for like,
because like some certain things, like I was born with this. It's not I can maybe like, yeah, I don't know, like I was born with it, so for me it's like I feel that this is like sort of my body, but maybe, as Mike was also saying, maybe it's like a hyper like, sensitivity for like a lot of things. Yeah, but it's like, it's very tempting to believe that it could be.
But you like at the beginning, before we started, you didn't like were thinking
I didn't
that
thought
it
about
was
this
like,
because it's such a constant thing in your life. It's always there. It's like every morning, every night, and
no, I mean regarding the treatment, you were skeptical about this from the beginning, and you knew it didn't, like it wouldn't work.
no, because I before we left, I didn't think about that we would meet these people and how they would treat it. I had no real expectations, I think, except for like just having a Western mindset in like medication. So it made me think about it differently, but I'm not sure. I didn't like make my sort of conclusion yet, I guess.
Up to this point, our focus had been on getting to know the belief systems around respiratory diseases, and through that find out what people's relationship to the air quality is. To get to know more about air pollution, we set up a meeting with Dash, a data analyst that we got into contact with through Babita from Quicksand. Because of his knowledge of design research and the work he does, it was completely different conducting an interview with him than with anyone else before.
So I was born here in Bangalore, and obviously it's changed over time. But my wife was not from here. She's from this place called Kerala. So she moved in after he got married to me. She was here for college.
But she moved back.
She moved back after college, but then she moved back after she got married. And Bangalore has been not so great for her, both in terms of air pollution and also we have like a really high pollen range.
Yes.
Yeah, the content is so high that it's yeah. So there's a very personal connection that way. That's how I've been very, very curious about air pollution around that.
I can imagine. And you said you were born here. Can you see a difference from like when you were young to now?
Yeah, very clearly, very clearly. I know what I think it's one is huge vehicular traffic, and also number of people who have been complaining about respiratory diseases has gone up really high compared to when we were kids to now. But in the last 5 years or something, I've been collecting data. And in terms of both government data, and I also have my own PM 2.5, PM 10 devices to measure at home. So I've been collecting data over time to see how it's been performing, and it's not been great.
Yeah.
Except this weekend, actually it's quite surprising because Diwali is the time when we have a festival called Diwali.
Yeah, we saw.
And it's usually the pollution goes really high during that time, but in Bangalore this time it's been okay because it's also a long weekend and a lot of people are not in Bangalore. The traffic is less and the vehicular movement is less. It's kind of compensating both. So kind of surprises me that how much the just general vehicle adds up to the pollution of PM 2.5, and there's a lot of in construction in Bangalore that adds up to a lot of PM 10 pollution.
So you said you've been collecting for 5 years? So the initial start was because your wife suffers from asthma?
It's kind of that, and I was mostly about that. We had started dating and we were thinking of moving to Bangalore and settling here and stuff. So we were thinking whether it's a good idea or not a bad idea, and then we didn't have any way to say whatever, so that's how it started. Yeah.
Okay. And do you have like a sort of goal with it, or is it really personal?
We did have a goal. So one, because I work with a lot of open data and data related projects, so I wanted kind of a proof to approach anyone to see. I didn't want to be just based on the stories to say what we can do. So we wanted some kind of data proof. That was one of the idea.
Yeah.
But I really don't know what I would do with that data. As of now, I've been trying to approach them and other non-profits who work in the area but not really data driven.
Yeah.
Mostly goes by stories and stuff, which is a great way of supporting the case. But I also thought the other part could be substantiated by data, so you can have both approaches, not just one.
Yeah.
So it's been going on, but I really don't know what's the end goal. Obviously, to improve the quality of life is a goal. Yeah. Well, we didn't have to prove. I didn't think it was that bad.
Okay.
We knew it was bad, but we've been okay, because I've grown here.
Yeah.
I've always failed to recognize. Because I didn't believe for a long time that it's that bad. So only when I started looking at the numbers and stuff like that, then I realized, oh shit, it's really bad.
Do you think this is a common problem for people living in Bangalore? That they don't really realize?
I'm sure. I think if you speak to any old Bangalore, you'll say it's still a nice city. I agree it's a nice city, but I think we fail to recognize it's gone bad or is going bad.
Yeah.
Because it's only linear every year, right? It goes back in small amounts.
Yeah. And is there specific target groups for these kinds of projects?
I think kids have been the biggest because they have been the biggest sufferers. The biggest sufferers have been kids, I think, school-going kids. Yeah.
And the people who gather all this data, is it to teach the kids, or is it to try and sort of teach the government?
I think what they want to teach is the government. At least to show the government it's not like a green city anymore. You need to do more to keep that status going. I think awareness amongst the kids is also is important because the next generation is them and they have to fight their fights. But I don't think that's a primary priority.
Okay, so mostly it's government to try
and
to change the rules. Yeah. Is there any rules already on?
Not in Bangalore, at least. I think even the government thinks Bangalore is still a green city and it's the most nicest city just because the weather is decent. So I think it takes a while for them to realize it's not as great.
For Tash and his wife, air pollution plays a very big role in their everyday lives. It is a constant measure. They have built their own routines around the data Tash collected, and they are seriously debating to move out of the city. Tash is not the only one who is trying to make a change. There is a multiple local residences who are collecting data, university studies being conducted, and local journalists who gather stories around these topics. There is a plan to have a 2-year ban on buying cars in the city of Bangalore, although Tash is rather skeptical about this because of the lack of regulations. Changing these regulations is possible in 2 ways, either through the chosen government or through the court. The latter has been making more and more decisions in the last years. One thing is for sure, the trees in Bangalore have an important status amongst the people. You could almost say they are untouchable.
Yeah, I think air pollution is still a first world problem in India. The biggest problem for the poor has been health. That they recognize health is their problem, and job is their problem. Two biggest things.
Yeah.
But where does their health problem comes from is what they not been able to connect back.
Because we have been trying to get a broad perspective on air pollution from various points of view, we wanted to speak to the people who work in places close to the roads, people who are working in the bad air the whole day. We tried to speak with rickshaw drivers, people who own food stalls on the streets, people who clean the streets, and people who work at the gas station next to the most polluted road in Bangalore, the Silk Road. Due to the language barriers with most of the people, sometimes we needed help with communication. We asked our local friend Himanshu to help us with translation.
But he was indicating that the temperature is now rising a bit every year.
Yeah.
And he had no problems with the traffic because he's been doing this for the last 20-25 years, and the tolerance level of Indians is like really high, so nobody would actually say that.
Something that we noticed is that people mention that they cannot feel the effect of bad air on their lungs. This is something that we experience as well. It becomes a constant. It won't affect you too much in a short period of time. The damage grows slowly, and that is why it is called a slow killer.
Okay. In terms of physical feelings, how do you feel? Does air pollution in Bangalore makes you feel worse, or you used to it?
It's actually quite okay. I feel like, yeah, it's actually okay. I was expecting worse. Sometimes, of course, when you're in the traffic, you feel like you're breathing air pollution, but it's fine. I had to take my Ventiline only once.
Okay.
What I noticed is that I started wearing something in front of my face less, because you kind of get used to it. But like I would do it in traffic, or especially when we're in the Uber and the windows are down and we're stuck, because then you can actually smell and taste it. But otherwise, I think like I can really understand why people are not so aware of the air pollution, because you really get used to it. Like I cough, but I also cough when I'm back home. And if you cough like enough, you're not noticing it anymore because it's just a reflex. And after Diwali, I could really feel like it in my lungs because it was like such a huge amount of smoke. It was kind of like going out to a pub where people could still smoke inside.
Our initial idea on using cultural props was a diary for children, to map their routines and their physical feelings. We believe that children have more freedom of thought, and we wanted to use this to gather a new point of view and get to know the stories that these children get taught. We wanted to learn from children about air. On the last day of our stay in Bangalore, we were invited to the ICSE Christ School of Palai district. The principal offered us the opportunity to talk with the children of class 8 for a full hour. Because of the change of format, we had to adapt our plans when talking to the class. The questions needed to be inviting and simple, so through them we could get information about our main subject. We used an empiric method, starting by asking questions about air in general, how they visualize it, and how they perceive bad air. Then we slowly moved into the topic of air pollution by asking them whether they were suffering from any allergies or breathing problems, what possible solutions might be if they were the ones in power. We were surprised to see that they almost have a scientific perception of the air quality and the factors of pollution. Many of the students suffer from things like asthma, allergies, and coughing. But they didn't seem to make the connection between all the factors like we noticed before when talking to others.
What I take away from spending all this time researching asthma and my own mindset about it is that I could try treating my disease in different ways. But mostly the idea of having responsibility for your own body. You have to be the one to take care of it, and you can't blame anything else. This is a feeling that grew much stronger from visiting India. On the other hand, my point of view on air pollution didn't change. If anything, I grew even more concerned, because the problem is more urgent than we could have imagined.
At this point, I am even more concerned, maybe even slightly angry, because I am realizing more and more that we're on the front line if this continues the way it does. Regarding my asthma, I wouldn't change my treatment. I trust it and I trust my allergist. As she told me, it is very important to keep the medication to prevent getting a serious inflammation in my lungs.
Using jade and yip as a probing element was a good decision to make. It helped to reveal more than we expected and created a feeling of empathy on both sides of the story. We were able to get to know these different belief systems in a deeper way and the consequences on the way of thinking about health, the body, and the air quality. Reflecting on the different approaches concerning the air quality and the body's health in both India and the Netherlands, we can see the holistic approach in India when treating the body and when tackling air pollution in the Netherlands. On the opposite side, combating the symptoms is what we see in the regular medical system in the Netherlands, as well as in fighting air pollution in India. There are many individuals that have started making a connection between air pollution and respiratory diseases, but collectively the link is missing a lot, something which we feel is required for action. In both the Netherlands and Bangalore, the overreaching idea is that we don't have to act now. It is not so bad where we are. There are places where it is much worse. All along our process, we have tried to be resilient in the several confrontations we have encountered. We have embraced our subjectivity in the research rather than trying to suppress it. By involving ourselves in the system, we have been able to grasp people's perspectives and deconstruct our own.